Welcome to the WPL Book Drop Podcast. I'm your host, Becky Miller, Circulation and Marketing Assistant at Waterloo Public Library. I believe all mammals are cute, even raccoons, bats, and opossums. I also think there is nothing better than having an animal to live with, though I only have a cat and a dog at this time, no wild animals. Joining us today is Mike Herman. He is the Friends of the Waterloo Public Library president. Mike is a Disney World enthusiast. He has been there dozens of times, and when he walks through the gate, Mickey greets him by name. Mike and his wife have been officially recognized as Waterloo Lost Island Water Park's most frequent and loyal guests. And Mike also cautions me that he likes to tell it as he sees it, so you've been warned. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
You bet.
Okay, so can we talk about Disney World for a second?
You bet. It's a little bit of a stretch to say Mickey greets us by name, but we've probably been there around 40 times. Judy and I went down there early 70s with a field trip with the company I was working for. And we had a daughter, and we took our daughter when she was 1. And my brother, he was a very enthusiastic Disney person, and he had a 1-year-old as well. So the whole family went, but we had 2 1-year-olds, and surprisingly, that our daughter says, yeah, she can kind of remember some things.
She can remember?
Not everything, but so we've been down there at least once. From that period on, at least I believe once a year, sometimes twice a year. Then we had a granddaughter, and she was down there every year. And you can imagine, I think she was around 13, and she just said, "Grandpa, can we go someplace else for a change? She was just sick of Disney."
She said, "I've had enough."
It kind of told me that maybe we're going down there too often.
That's funny.
So, but we were down there last September again, and we avoided the place for about 5 years. But this time she wanted to go down there, and so the family went down there again.
So what do you love most about the happiest place on earth?
It all stems back from my childhood. I seen the thing built, not physically, but on television, and for the economy or what our family was, my brother and I both didn't think we'd ever get down there. So I think that's what really drove us to that. As we got out in the world, made a living, and we could go, we just couldn't get enough of it. And you know, it's not the same, but the people who go down there now wouldn't know the difference. But because what it is what it is. But we remember it was better 20 years ago, but I could never begin to explain what the difference is, and I don't want to try to take away from anybody that, well, it's not as good, because you go down there and you wouldn't know the difference, and everybody would still enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
It's just a neat place to be. And they're right. I think they say from, 1 to 99, and I think they're right for as far as age. Judy and I have spent probably 8 trips just going by ourselves. We would stay at a resort right beside the parks, and when we felt like it, we'd go in the parks and do whatever. We wouldn't do all the stuff we used to do with kids, but nonetheless, we still enjoyed it.
So what do you like to do most when you're at Disney?
Well, there's a couple of attractions there that is really neat. The Haunted House, the Pirates of the Cove, and there's some, I can't even remember what they are, in Tomorrowland, and there's Carousel of Progress, and that's for old folks, so the older we get, the more we like it. They've got a couple of roller coasters that are not wild roller coasters that I can handle, because I can't handle Space Mountain and that kind of stuff. I did it a couple of times, but long time ago.
You've moved past it.
I moved past it. And also where we stay, we enjoy the accommodations. We spend a lot of time at the pool, and so it's just the atmosphere. And of course, we used to have relation down. My brother had a place in the Villages, and my sister lived in Titusville, so we always managed to see them. We'd go down there sometimes for a month or so. And
So like a nice family
Yeah.
get together.
right.
Great. Well, the reason that we have you on the podcast today is to talk about the Friends of the Library. Can you tell us, some of our listeners might not know, what are the Friends of the Library, or what do they do?
We sell books for the main part of it, and everything that we take in as far as dollars, every cent goes back to the library. That's through membership and in selling books. We used to do other things other than quote unquote sell books, but with COVID and with a lot of, we're going to stay with books. And it seems to be working out quite well. We have a used bookstore in the library, first floor. They can come in at the same hours the library is open. We used to staff it, we don't anymore. They can buy the books, they're all the same price basically, except for one area, and it's well marked. Then they pay the library staff. So that helped tremendously, that no set hours. Library's open, they can shop. And then we also opened up the basement, and I'm gonna guess the basement probably has at least 20 times the amount of product that is in the bookstore. And first and third Saturdays, we're open from 9 to 1, and every Monday, we're open downstairs from, not 9 to 1, 10 to 1. And every Monday, we're open 10 to 1 downstairs. And they're the same price as the books that are up in the bookstore, but they have a much bigger selection. And again, every cent that we raise goes right back to the library.
Yep, and that would fund things like,
Well, adult programs, children's programs. Seems to me that I see the dollars that we write the checks to the library. That's where most of it goes, is various programs that you guys run.
that's right, so you're thinking about summer programs whenever we have special guests in, all the different speakers that the library brings in, some of those special events. We're doing the First Friday Flicks. Those are the movie matinees that are coming back. And, you know, the Friends buy the popcorn and the soda for that.
Right, I just got the bill for that. And just got the bill for the soda and the popcorn and the oil and so on and so forth. And yes, all your special speakers, again, we get the statement and we write the checks to them.
Yeah, so some of those things that the library is able to do really wouldn't be possible without the Friends of the Library. So when you're shopping, you're really supporting a cause when you come here.
Well, that's what I try to explain to everyone, even if when we're talking about membership. You're not giving it to the Friends, you're not giving it to me, you're not giving it to any volunteers, because no matter how much money we make, our wages don't go up.
That's right. You're always just giving your time. And Mike here is here every single day.
Just about.
Yeah.
Just about. But,
And you're very generous with your time with the library, and so we're very glad to have you here.
well, I started to get involved in the library when I was working, and even as a kid, I used the library a lot. And I told myself, I don't know when it was, 10, 15 years before I decided to retire, that when I do, I will give back. And I think maybe that's when I decided, because Jane, I can't recall her last name, she called me.
Oh, Martin?
Yes, Jane Martin. She called me once and asked me if I wanted to be a trustee. And I told her the truth. Since I'm working, I just don't feel that I have the time to give. And I know it wasn't much time for a trustee, but I just didn't want to. But at that time, I decided when I retire, I will give back. So here I am.
Well, thank you. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was that the Friends have a big book sale coming up.
Yes, we do.
Can you tell us about that? When is it? What makes that sale so special?
Well, it's, as you say, a big book sale. The first sale is Thursday night, February 10th, and it goes from 5 to 7. You have to be a Friends member to participate in that book sale. If not, you can join at the time if you want to come down. And the biggest advantage that you have coming down Thursday is the crowds. There isn't nearly as many people down there on Thursday as there will be Saturday. Plus you get first choice, basically.
That's right.
Then the other one that we will have will be that Saturday, the 12th. And that'll go on from 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's open to everybody. And it's $5 a bag. We give you a high-B bag or that size of a shopping bag. Whatever you can put in that bag, costs you $5. And a lot of people try to overstuff it, and we kind of have a blind eye to it, but whatever you can get into that. And again, you have access to all of our inventory down there. And $5 a bag is a very good price for the amount of books that they can put in there.
Yes, it is. And you have thousands of items down there
Absolutely.
In that basement.
Yes, we have thousands. Yeah, it's everybody that goes down there for the first time is absolutely amazed.
Can you talk about how you organize the basement a little bit, like genres and things?
Yeah, we have two sides to the basement, if you will. One side is what we call the public side. That is basically where the $5 bag books are. Then we have another side that are the books are a little possibly newer, a little more pristine. Those are the books that always goes up in our bookstore because they just look better. We still only get $1 for a hardcover, no matter if they're first edition 2022. We don't do anything about that. They're all listed alphabetically by author for fiction, and nonfiction are listed in categories. We used to use the Dewey Decimal System, but then I found out that nobody understands that. Even for most librarians don't understand it.
It's true.
So we got rid of that, and that's when we went to alphabetizing. That took a long time for us to alphabetize everything that we have. We have it split up between hardcover and paperbacks as well on both sections. All the nonfiction are categorized in what pertains to the subject, and it is posted on each bin, so it's pretty easy to find. And if you want to ask, we always have people down there, and the people that are down there are the people that shelve the books, so they're pretty knowledgeable. If you ask for a particular subject or a title, chances are they'll know, and they can at least show you where it would be if we had it.
Yes, I've shopped down there. Volunteers are very helpful. I found music down there on CD.
Yeah, I forgot about the music. We have a large selection of CDs downstairs as well as in the bookstore, as well as DVDs. We are fortunate that we get all the libraries DVDs and CDs that they decide to pull from their collection. We get them, and it's a big boost to us, or it's a big boost to the library, however you want to look at it. But I really forgot about those. Yes, we do.
Yep, and then you've started selling vinyl records too in the Friends Bookshop.
Yeah, we still have a few vinyl records. What I've done with a lot of vinyl records, there's a store in town that will buy them. They don't give you much, but nonetheless, I just wanted to get them out of the basement. So I've been taking them over there, and they'll give us $8 or $4, and so I'll take them there. And
pretty cool. So, before we wrap up, I do want to ask you about what you've been reading recently.
Well, I read a lot of different things. I have a tendency to read 2 or 3 books at the same time. And my wife drives her nuts. She says, how do you do that? And usually it's one fiction and one nonfiction at the same time. But I just to talk about authors because there's just so many authors that I would highly recommend to anybody. And if you're into mysteries and that type of stuff, and I know some people are, some people aren't. But the number one author that I personally like is Robert B. Parker. Unfortunately, he has passed. And if you're looking for his, I would just strongly suggest to be sure that look for a book that he wrote, as opposed to one of his. They're not ghostwriters, but another writer that has their name on it. He also is the one that wrote for Jesse Stone. They might know him from television, The Paradise. Same author. And I'm reading right now one from James Rollins. It's Alter Eden. It's about a lab had test animals and over in Baghdad, so he starts out, it isn't good. And during the war it was looted and animals got out and they made their way to the States, and that's basically what the book is. The animals are a mutation, they're highly intelligent and not very nice, and so on and so forth. So,
What kind of animals are these?
these are monkeys and tigers, and they're just animals. But
Interesting. That kind of
Yeah.
reminds me of that. Did you see that crash that was on the highway
yes,
last week?
yes, I do. All the monkeys. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Stranger than fiction.
But Patterson had one out about animals too that was going wild. It was the zoo, and they had a problem with that. But like I say, there's several authors that I try to read everything with, and the nonfiction I like history, and right now it's somewhat history. It just caught my eye, so I started reading. It's the 8 great debates about the Bible prophecies, and they 3 or 4 opinions, and I just find that interesting.
Interesting. My husband likes to watch that kind of stuff. It's not reading, but he likes to watch YouTube videos, stories of the Bible and things like that. He's really into it.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are the 2 books I'm reading right now, but there's several authors that I try to read most everything they write.
Yeah, I've actually I finished a book called The Final Girl Support Group. It's by Grady Hendrix, which I think there's another book that is out, the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, which if I got the title right, I haven't read that, but it was a book club pick here at the library, and I heard it was quite gory.
Gory. Of course, with vampires and slaying, I mean.
Yeah. But I did listen to the Final Girl Support Group, which I don't know if you've seen the slasher films from the 1980s, like Halloween and all of those.
Have not seen anything in the full length. I've just caught clips here and clips there, but I know which ones you're talking about.
Yes. So I guess in this story, there's always a final girl who survives. She went to the camp and all her friends get murdered, but she survives. Well, this story is based on the final girl of all, the 80s, all these different films that were made off of them. And in the book, they're kind of pretending these really happened, all these massacres happened, and all these final girls get together and they have a final girls support group where they meet monthly. And, they're all characters or whatever, but they're wondering, why are we still meeting? And eventually, of course, something has to happen.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
one of the final girls gets killed by one of their monsters, or so they think, and they're trying to figure out who did it, before they get all of them become another final girl. Or I thought it was just okay. It's not really for me. I usually do nonfiction. So, but Jillian, who works here,
Sure.
she enjoyed it, but I guess this is supposed to be funny, but and a thriller, sort of, but it really wasn't for me.
Those kind of books remind me of the commercial, and I don't even know what the commercial is. The only thing I remember is a group of kids, and it must be a slasher, because the guy who has the mask.
Jason.
Okay. But they're standing outside of a barn, and there's a car running. And one of the girls say they don't know where to go hide or whatever, and she says, "Why can't we just get in the car and leave?" And of course somebody else says, "No, we got to go in the barn and hide," and there's all these knives swinging back and forth and machetes. And I mean, it was a commercial about something, but I don't know what it was, but those type of things remind me of that commercial, because obviously it's a funny commercial. Why can't we just leave?
Yeah.
Of course, they wouldn't make many movies if you use common sense.
That's right. Well, Mike, I want to say thank you so much for joining the podcast today.
You bet. I appreciate it. Appreciate getting our message out as far as our book sale. We hope to see everybody there.
And that's going to be, the public sale will be on February 12th. But if you want to
Correct.
become a member of the Friends of the Library, if you're not, you can do that on February 10th and come
You can do it while you get here, or you can do it any time before that. And of course, I would recommend everybody to become a friend of the library. You're helping your library. You're helping your community.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You bet.
If you like today's episode, be sure to like and subscribe.